The California sun hadn't yet broken the horizon when Kira Blackwood dropped to the sand for her 200th push-up. Her arms trembled, not from weakness, but from the relentless repetition that had started at 400 hours. Sweat dripped from her nose, darkening the already damp sand beneath her. 5'3" of compressed muscle and determination. She moved like a piston, up, down, her breath synchronized with each motion. 20 yards away, 6 men watched from the shade of the training facility's overhang. They stood in a loose cluster, arms crossed, faces carved from skepticism and resentment. One of them, Staff Sergeant Marcus Garrett, 6'2" and built like a refrigerator, took a long pull from his water bottle and shook his head. 200 and counting, muttered Corporal Trent Brennan, a lanky kid from Tennessee with freckles that hadn't faded since high school. That's actually impressive. It's a show, Garrett said, his voice carrying the gravel of too many years yelling commands. She's performing, trying to prove something to everyone watching. Maybe she's just good, Brennan offered weakly. Garrett's laugh was harsh, brittle. Good doesn't mean she belongs here, kid. This ain't about push-ups, it's about trust. About knowing the person next to you can carry their weight when the rounds start flying. At 250, Kira finally stopped. She rose to her feet in one fluid motion, grabbed her canteen, and drank. Her dark hair was plastered to her skull, her Navy PT gear soaked through. But her green eyes, pale as sea glass, hard as diamonds, swept across the training yard with perfect awareness. She saw them watching. She always saw them watching. She didn't acknowledge it, didn't need to. The morning briefing was scheduled for 700. She had 30 minutes to shower, change, and report. Kira Blackwood was never late. The briefing room smelled like burnt coffee and testosterone. 18 SEALs packed into a space designed for 12, their bodies radiating heat and the particular tension of men waiting for orders. Kira took her seat in the back corner. Always the back, always the corner. Visibility and escape routes. Her father's training never left her. Commander Victor Hammer Draven entered like a storm front. 52 years old, silver crew cut, face weathered by 2 decades of sun and salt and violence. He carried himself with the kind of authority that didn't need volume. When Draven spoke, men listened, or they learned to regret it. "Gentlemen," he began. Then his eyes found Kira in the back. A pause, so slight only she caught it. "And Petty Officer Blackwood, we have a situation developing along the southern border." The projector flickered to life. Satellite imagery of the California-Mexico border near Jacumba. Warehouse structures, heat signatures, vehicle patterns indicating regular traffic. "Intelligence suggests cartel activity," Draven continued. "Human trafficking, possibly weapons. Command wants eyes on the ground. Reconnaissance only. No engagement unless absolutely necessary." Garrett's hand shot up. "Sir, with respect, are we really bringing—" He gestured vaguely toward Kira without looking at her. "Is the full team deploying on this?" The room went quiet, the kind of quiet that precedes explosions. Draven's gaze could have stripped paint. "Staff Sergeant Garrett, are you questioning my operational decisions?" "No, sir, just seeking clarification on team composition. Given the variables." Variables. The word hung in the air like tear gas. "Petty Officer Blackwood has completed BUD/S training," Draven said, each word dropping like a hammer blow. "She has completed advanced combat courses. She has qualified expert marksman with multiple weapon systems. What exactly are your concerns about variables, Staff Sergeant?" Garrett's jaw worked. "Field experience, sir. Actual combat conditions. This isn't a training exercise." Neither was her selection process. Dismissed concerns noted and disregarded. "We deploy at 2100 hours. Full briefing at 1800. That's all." But it wasn't all. As the men filed out, Kira caught fragments of conversation. Low voices, thinking they were being discreet. Liability waiting to happen. Get someone killed. Political correctness bullshit. She kept her face neutral, a skill learned young. Her father used to say, never let them see the wound. Never let them know they drew blood. Jackson Blackwood had been full of wisdom like that, right up until Syria took him 7 years ago. The gym was supposed to be empty after 2,100 hours. Kira had timed it deliberately. She needed the heavy bag, needed to feel her knuckles crack against leather, needed the rhythm to drive out the noise in her head. She was 40 minutes into her session when the door opened. Garrett walked in first, followed by Brennan and a private named Hollis. Young, stupid, eager to impress. They carried that particular swagger of men who'd been drinking just enough to feel bulletproof, but not enough to be obviously drunk. The smell of beer followed them like cheap cologne. Kira didn't stop hitting the bag. Left jab, right cross, left hook. The chain rattled with each impact. Well, look at this, Garrett announced to the empty gym. Little soldier working off some frustration. She kept punching. Right uppercut, left jab, right cross. I'm talking to you, Blackwood. 3 more combinations. Then she stopped, grabbed her towel, wiped her face. When she turned, her expression was blank. Professional. Bored even. Staff Sergeant, something I can help you with? Just wondering what it's like, Garrett said, moving closer. The other 2 fanned out slightly, unconsciously perhaps, but Kira noted the positioning. Pack behavior. Being the diversity hire, the token, must be nice getting special treatment. I've never received special treatment. No? Garrett laughed. You got through BUD/S with modifications. Everyone knows it. They made it easier. They had to, or you never would have made it. The lie was so brazen it almost impressed her, but Kira's voice remained level. The standards were identical. The completion rate was 3%, same as it's always been. Whatever helps you sleep at night, sweetheart. The word landed like a slap. Deliberate. Testing. Kira set down her towel. Is there something specific you need, Staff Sergeant? Or are you just making conversation? Brennan shifted uncomfortably. Even drunk, the kid had enough sense to feel the danger in the room. But Garrett was too committed now, too deep into whatever point he was trying to prove. You know what I think? Garrett said. I think you're going to get someone killed. I think when the shooting starts, you're going to freeze. You're going to need rescuing, and some good man is going to die trying to save you. Kira's hands hung loose at her sides. Her heart rate, she noted with distant satisfaction, hadn't changed. You're entitled to your opinion. Damn right I am. Garrett turned to Brennan. You see what we're dealing with here? She doesn't even get mad. Probably doesn't have the fire for it. Too worried about being polite. Then he turned back and his voice dropped to something uglier, something meaner. You know what? Let's test it. Brennan, go over there and give her a tap. See if she's got any fight in her. Brennan's face went pale. Sarge, I don't think... It's an order, Corporal. Hit that bitch. She's weak. Let's prove it. The words echoed in the gym. Hit that bitch. She's weak. Kira didn't move, didn't speak. But something in her eyes must have changed, because Brennan took an involuntary step backward. I said, Garrett began. The door exploded open. Commander Draven stood in the threshold, and the temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. He said nothing. He didn't need to. His presence was a physical thing, a pressure wave that made grown men want to apologize for existing. Garrett straightened. Sir, we were just... Staff Sergeant Marcus Garrett. Draven's voice was soft, deadly soft. Corporal Trent Brennan, Private Aaron Hollis. My office, right now. Sir, if I could explain... You can explain while you're packing your gear. Draven's eyes were glacial. Because all 3 of you are done here. Move. Now. They moved. They nearly trampled each other getting to the door. Draven waited until they were gone, then looked at Kira, really looked at her. She saw something in his face, recognition maybe, or memory. You okay, Blackwood? Yes, sir. Good. He paused. After you shower, come to my office, alone. We need to talk. Then he was gone, leaving Kira alone with a swaying heavy bag and the echo of Garrett's words. Hit that bitch, she's weak. She picked up her towel and walked to the showers. Her hands, she noticed, were perfectly steady. The next morning, Kira saw them leaving. Garrett walked across the base with a sea bag over his shoulder and a cardboard box under his arm. His face was stone. No expression, no emotion. Just the blank mask of a man who'd lost everything. Brennan and Hollis followed behind, quieter, younger, scared. As Garrett passed, he slowed, just for a second. His eyes found Kira standing near the training facility. She met his gaze, didn't look away, didn't gloat, just acknowledged him. For a moment, something flickered across Garrett's face. Not apology, not regret, just recognition. The understanding that he'd misjudged her, that his prejudice had cost him everything. Then he nodded, once, sharp, and walked away. Kira watched him go, felt no satisfaction, no victory, just the hollow understanding that this was the cost, that sometimes justice meant ending careers, destroying lives, even when those lives had brought it on themselves. You okay? Ghost appeared beside her. Yeah, Kira said quietly. I'm okay. But she wasn't thinking about Garrett anymore. She was thinking about the meeting with Draven, about what came next. Commander Draven's office was austere. No family photos, no decorative bullshit. Just maps, tactical charts, and a single framed photograph of a SEAL team from 1999. Kira's eyes went to it automatically. Front row, third from the left, her father. Young, grinning, invincible. And next to him, arms slung over his shoulder, a younger Victor Draven. You never told me, Kira said quietly. Draven was pouring coffee, real coffee, not the battery acid from the mess. He handed her a cup. Your father asked me not to. Didn't want you to think you had any special advantage. Didn't want anyone else to think it either. Did it work? What do you think? Kira sat. The coffee was strong, bitter, perfect. You were there when he died. No. Draven settled into his chair. It creaked under his weight. I was stateside, but I heard about it within the hour. Every operator in the community heard about it. Jackson Reaper Blackwood, one of the best snipers the Navy ever produced, killed in action, Syria, 2017. That's the official story. Draven's eyes sharpened. And you don't believe it. I believe my father was too good to die from a stray bullet. I believe in 7 years, no one has given me a straight answer about what really happened. I believe, she stopped, took a breath. I believe he found something people wanted buried. For a long moment, Draven said nothing. Then he opened a drawer in his desk and pulled out a USB drive. Black, unmarked. He set it between them like a loaded weapon. Your father sent me this 2 weeks before he died. I've spent 7 years trying to figure out what to do with it, whether to give it to you, whether to destroy it, whether to take it to people who might actually care. Kira's hand moved toward it, but Draven's palm slammed down, trapping it. Before you take this, you need to understand something. Jackson Blackwood didn't die in combat. He was murdered, assassinated by people inside our own military. And if you go down this road, they will try to kill you too. Then why give it to me? Because you're his daughter, because you have a right to know, and because, he lifted his hand, because I think you're the only one who can finish what he started. Kira took the USB drive. It was warm from Draven's hand, lighter than she expected, heavier than she could measure. What's on it? Names, dates, transactions, evidence of a black operations funding scheme called Operation Reaper. Your father was getting close to exposing it. They couldn't let that happen. Operation Reaper. The words tasted like copper, like blood. They named their conspiracy after him. They named it before he started investigating. The irony probably amused them. Draven stood, walked to the window. Outside, the Pacific was dark, restless. There's a mission tomorrow night. Border reconnaissance. It's real, but it's also cover. We're going to investigate the other end of Operation Reaper, the cartel connection, the weapons trafficking, the money flow. I'm putting together a team, 5 operators. You're one of them. Despite Garrett's concerns, Garrett's career is over. As for his concerns, Draven turned back. Your father taught you everything he knew. I've seen your scores, your combat evals, your psychological profile. You're not just qualified, Blackwood. You're exceptional. The only question is whether you're ready for this. Kira stood, tucked the USB drive into her pocket. When do we deploy? 2100 tomorrow. Full briefing at 1800. Team composition will be disclosed then. But Blackwood, he waited until she met his eyes. This isn't regular ops. The people we're going after killed your father. They will not hesitate to kill you. They will use every advantage, every dirty trick, every resource they have. And if we fail, there's no backup, no rescue, no official support. We will be completely on our own. Understood, sir. Good. Dismissed. She made it to the door before he spoke again. Kira. She turned. He never used her first name. Your father was my best friend, the best operator I ever served with, the best man I ever knew. And every day for 7 years I've regretted not being there, not protecting him, not stopping what happened. His voice cracked, just barely, just enough. I won't make that mistake again. I will bring you home, whatever it takes. Kira nodded. She didn't trust her voice. Outside, the night air was cool against her face. She walked across the base, past the darkened training facilities, toward her barracks. The USB drive seemed to pulse in her pocket like a second heartbeat. In her room, she sat on her bunk and opened her locker. Inside, wrapped in an oiled cloth, was her father's Sig Sauer P226. She'd carried it through BUD/S training, through every qualification course, through every moment of doubt. His dog tags hung on the grip, his name, his service number, his blood type. Jackson Blackwood, O positive. She held the pistol, felt its familiar weight, imagined her father's hands where hers were now, imagined him teaching her, 12 years old, at the ranch in Wyoming, learning to breathe, learning to aim, learning that the trigger squeeze happened between heartbeats. The gun is just a tool, he'd said. Any fool can pull a trigger. A warrior knows when not to. Kira inserted the USB drive into her laptop. The screen flickered to life. Files, dozens of them, hundreds, financial records, communications intercepts, photographs of military officials she recognized from news broadcasts, manifests of weapons shipments, maps of border crossing points, and a video file, time-stamped 2 weeks before her father's death. She clicked it. Jackson Blackwood's face filled the screen, older than her memories, more worn. But those eyes, God, those eyes were the same, green like hers, sharp like hers. Hey, baby girl. His voice cracked her heart. If you're watching this, then I didn't make it out. And that means Victor gave you the drive like I asked him to. He paused, rubbed his face. When his hand dropped, he looked exhausted. I don't have much time. They're moving me out tomorrow on a classified op, and something feels wrong. Too clean, too convenient. So I'm recording this while I can. He leaned closer to the camera. There's a conspiracy at the highest levels of military command. Codename Operation Reaper. Yeah, they thought that was funny. They've been funneling weapons to cartels, taking a cut of the profits, using the money to fund black ops that Congress never approved. Millions of dollars, maybe hundreds of millions. His jaw clenched. I have proof. I have names. And I was going to take it to the Inspector General, to the Senate Intelligence Committee, to anyone who would listen. But I think they know. I think someone talked. And I think this mission tomorrow is a setup. Tears blurred Kira's vision. She blinked them back viciously. If I'm right, If something happens to me, you need to promise me something. Don't try to avenge me. Don't throw your life away on revenge. That's not who I raised you to be." He smiled then, that crooked smile she remembered from every childhood memory, every birthday, every proud moment. "You're better than that, stronger than that. You're going to be an incredible operator, Kay, better than I ever was. And when you get there, when you're ready, when you have the resources and the team and the support, then you finish what I started. Not for me, for everyone else they'll hurt if we don't stop them." The video ended. Kira sat in the darkness of her room, her father's pistol in one hand, his dog tags in the other. Outside, she could hear the distant sound of waves against the shore, the eternal rhythm of the Pacific. She thought about Garrett's words, "Hit that bitch, she's weak." She thought about Draven's warning, "They will try to kill you too." She thought about her father's last message, "Don't try to avenge me." Then she stood. She field stripped the Sig Sauer, cleaned it, reassembled it, loaded a fresh magazine, racked the slide. The sound was crisp, final, perfect. "Sorry, Dad," she whispered, "but I'm not just finishing what you started. I'm making sure they pay for what they did." The mission briefing at 1800 hours was smaller than expected. Draven stood at the head of the conference table. Only 5 other people sat in the room. "This is the team," Draven said without preamble. "No one else. No backup. No support staff. Just us." He pointed to each person in turn. Lieutenant Ryder Callahan, former Delta Force, combat experience in 3 theaters, specialty, close quarters battle, and tactical planning. You'll be team's second in command. Ryder was 33, compact and efficient looking, with a kind of calm that came from seeing too much and surviving it all. He nodded at Kira. She nodded back. Sergeant Nolan Sheffield, call sign Doc, combat medic, 6 tours, saved more lives than any of us have taken, which is saying something. Doc was lean, with medic's hands and sniper's eyes. He gave Kira a small smile. It seemed genuine. Corporal Wyatt Donovan, signals intelligence and communications. If it has electricity, Wyatt can hack it, track it, or make it explode. Probably all 3. Wyatt looked like he belonged in a college dorm room, not a SEAL team. But his eyes had that particular hyper-awareness of people who lived in digital space. He raised a hand in greeting. Sergeant Boone Mercer, call sign Ghost, Force Recon, 18 years of making people disappear. He'll be our primary scout and surveillance specialist. Ghost was older, late 30s, with the lean, weathered look of someone who'd spent most of his adult life in difficult places. He studied Kira with frank curiosity, but no hostility. And Petty Officer Kira Blackwood, sniper, intelligence specialist, and daughter of Jackson Reaper Blackwood. The room went very still. "Some of you may have served with Jackson," Draven continued. "Some of you may have heard the stories. What you need to know is this. Jackson Blackwood was murdered 7 years ago while investigating military corruption. This mission is about finishing his investigation, about exposing the people responsible, about making sure no one else has to die for their greed." He pulled up the border surveillance imagery. "We deploy at 2100 hours, insertion by helicopter to a position 3 clicks north of the border. Our objective is a warehouse complex used by cartel smuggling operations. But we're not interested in the cartel. We're interested in the people supplying them." Draven's eyes swept the room. "Intelligence suggests American military personnel are involved in weapons trafficking. We need proof, photos, video, documentation. We go in quiet, we observe, we document, we extract. No heroics, no engagement unless absolutely necessary. Questions?" Ryder raised a hand. "Rules of engagement if compromised. Defend yourselves. Protect the team, but our primary mission is intelligence gathering. Dead bodies attract attention we can't afford. Time on target, 60 minutes, in and out before sunrise. Ghost spoke for the first time, his voice gravelly. What's our exfil plan if things go sideways? There isn't one. If this goes wrong, we're on our own. The mission is deniable. We're deniable. The Navy will disavow any knowledge of our operation. Silence. The weight of that statement settled over them like snow. Anyone want out? Draven asked. Last chance. No judgment. No consequences. No one moved. Good. Gear up. We leave in 3 hours. As the team filed out, Draven caught Kira's arm. Your father carried an M40A3 sniper rifle. Serial number November Sierra 4728. It's been in the armory since he died. I had it pulled and prepped. It's yours now. Kira's throat went tight. Sir, It's a good rifle. Your father made it better. He had the trigger adjusted, replaced the stock, zeroed the scope personally. It's like he made it just for you. Maybe he did. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me. Just come back alive and bring me those bastards' heads on a platter. Metaphorically speaking. Metaphorically. Got it. His smile was brief, fierce. Liar. The armory was quiet. Kira found the rifle case immediately. Her father's initials were stamped on the side. J.R.B. Jackson, Reaper, Blackwood. She opened it slowly, reverently. The M40A3 was exactly as she remembered. Matte black finish. Loopholed Mark IV scope. The stock had been custom carved. She ran her fingers over it and found what she was looking for. Tiny initials scratched into the wood where the cheek rest met the stock. KB, Kira Blackwood. He'd modified it for her. Even back then, before she joined the Navy, before BUD/S, before any of this, he'd known, he'd prepared. She lifted the rifle. It fit her shoulder like it had been waiting. The weight was perfect. The balance was perfect. Everything was perfect. He loved you very much. Kira turned. Doc stood in the doorway, medical pack already strapped to his back. You knew him? Briefly, 2015, joint training exercise in North Carolina. He talked about you the whole time. His daughter, his soldier. He said you were going to be better than him. I'm not. Maybe not yet, Doc smiled, but you will be. He clearly thought so. And from what I've seen, Jackson Blackwood wasn't wrong about much. Kira secured the rifle in its case. You don't have any concerns about serving with me? Should I? Garrett did. Garrett was an asshole who couldn't handle the idea that someone smaller than him might be better at the job. Don't confuse his insecurity with actual problems. Doc checked his watch. We load out in 90 minutes. I suggest you eat something. Long night ahead. He left. Kira stood alone with her father's rifle and felt something shift inside her. Not closure, not even acceptance. Purpose. At 20:05 hours, they boarded the Black Hawk. 5 operators, full combat gear, enough firepower to start a small war. The helicopter's rotors beat the air like a heart, steady and strong. Kira sat in the jump seat, her father's rifle across her lap, his pistol at her hip, his dog tags around her neck. The metal was warm against her skin, a promise carried forward. Ryder sat across from her, studying her with that calculating Delta Force intensity. You ready for this, Blackwood? Yes, sir. Don't call me sir. We're all the same rank out here. Well, except Draven, but he doesn't count. From the cockpit, Draven's voice crackled over comms. I heard that, Lieutenant. Ryder grinned. It transformed his face, made him look younger. You were supposed to, sir. The helicopter lifted. San Diego fell away beneath them, a sprawl of lights becoming geometric patterns, becoming abstract points in the darkness. Then they were over desert, over nothing, flying low and fast toward a border that existed more as concept than reality. Ghost leaned over, tapped Kira's rifle case. Your old man's gun? Yes. He was the best I ever saw. Watched him make a shot once. Wind River Range in Wyoming, training exercise. Target at 1,847 yards. Wind gusting to 20 knots, temperature dropping. He adjusted for Coriolis effect, for altitude, for the curve of the damn Earth. Put the round through a 6-inch circle. I know. I was there. I was 14. Ghost's eyes widened. You were the kid on the spotting scope. I was. Jesus, I remember now. He had you call the wind. You nailed it. I thought you were his assistant or something. Didn't realize you were his daughter. Most people didn't. He liked it that way. Smart man. Ghost settled back. You learn anything from him? Everything. Then we're in good hands. The Black Hawk banked. Through the open door, Kira could see the border approaching. A line of lights, then darkness, then scattered lights again. Mexico on one side, America on the other. And in between, a no-man's land where laws became suggestions, and violence was the only currency that mattered. 5 minutes, the pilot announced. Draven's voice. Comms check. Ghost? Ghost, check. Doc? Doc, check. Tech? Wyatt's voice, crackling. Tech, check. Also, just FYI, I'm monitoring cartel radio frequencies. They're quiet, too quiet. Just saying. Noted. Hawk? Hawk, check. Blackwood. Kira keyed her mic. Blackwood, check. Good. We land in 4 minutes. From that point, radio silence unless absolutely necessary. Hand signals only. Ghost takes point. Blackwood, you're in overwatch position at grid November 7-3. Hawk, Doc, Tech, you're with me. We approach from the east. Observe, document, extract. Simple. Clean. Questions? Silence. Outstanding. Let's go finish what Jackson Blackwood started. The helicopter descended. The roar of rotors filled the world. Sand blasted up in clouds, turning the air into chaos. And then they were on the ground, moving fast, disappearing into the darkness like they'd never existed at all. Kira adjusted the rifle on her back and followed Ghost into the desert night. Behind her, the Black Hawk was already lifting, already gone, already a memory. Ahead, somewhere in the darkness, were the answers she'd been seeking for 7 years. Ahead were the men who killed her father, and Kira Blackwood was coming for them all. The desert at 0200 hours was a study in contradictions. Cold enough to see your breath, but the sand still held the ghost of yesterday's heat. Silent enough to hear your own heartbeat, but alive with the whisper of wind through creosote bushes and the distant yip of coyotes marking territory. Dark enough to drown in, but the stars overhead blazed so bright they cast actual shadows. Kira moved through this landscape like water through stone, inevitable, patient, silent. 800 yards from the target warehouse, she'd found her position on a low ridge that gave her perfect sight lines. The M40A3 rested on its bipod, the scope revealing details the naked eye would miss. Through the loophole's glass, the world became green-tinted and crystalline. 12 guards. No, 13. One just emerged from the warehouse's side door, lighting a cigarette. Cartel soldiers, heavily armed. AK-47s mostly, a few AR-15. Professional enough to be dangerous, undisciplined enough to be predictable. They clustered in groups, talked too loud, smoked too much, civilians playing soldier. But the vehicles told a different story. 2 HMMWVs, Humvees, in civilian parlance. Military spec. The kind you didn't buy at auction. The kind that came with serial numbers and paperwork and chains of custody that led directly back to U.S. Armed Forces inventory. They sat in the warehouse's shadow like guilty secrets. Blackwood. Ghost's voice in her earpiece, barely a whisper. I'm in position, east side. Count 13 hostiles, 2 Humvees, 1 civilian truck loaded with cargo. Confirmed, Kira breathed. What kind of cargo? Silence. Then, the kind that moves. I've got heat signatures, multiple, inside the truck bed. Kira's jaw clenched. Human trafficking. Of course. When you were already trafficking weapons, why not add people to the inventory? The profit margins were better, and the merchandise couldn't testify. Wyatt's voice crackled. Tech in position, north side. I've got good signal. Their comms are encrypted, but it's civilian grade. Give me 10 minutes and I'll have everything they're saying. Copy, Draven replied. Doc, Hawk, report. South perimeter clear, Ryder said. We've got good approach angles, waiting on your go. Hold position. Blackwood, what's your visual on the interior? Kira adjusted her scope, scanning the warehouse windows. Most were dark, but one showed movement. Shadows passing in front of a light source. She counted heads, estimated positions. 15 to 20 inside. Can't get exact count. Looks like they're packing something. Crates, metallic, could be weapons. Or money, Ghost said. Cartel doesn't just run one operation at a time. Movement. Wyatt's voice went sharp. Vehicle approaching from the south. No headlights, moving slow. Everyone hold. Through her scope, Kira tracked the new arrival. A Toyota Land Cruiser, black, expensive. It rolled to a stop near the warehouse entrance. The doors opened. 3 men emerged. The first 2 were clearly bodyguards. Big, competent, moving with the kind of awareness that came from professional training. They swept the area, checked sightlines, established a perimeter before their principal even stepped out. The third man wore a suit. In the middle of the desert, at 2 in the morning, surrounded by cartel soldiers and illegal cargo, he wore a $1,000 suit. Kira zoomed in on his face. Holy shit, she breathed. Blackwood? Draven's voice was tense. What do you have? I have a United States Army major in full view. Sir, that's Major Leonard Vaughn. I recognize him from the briefing materials on the USB. He's on the list. Silence on the comms. The kind that meant everyone was recalibrating, reassessing, understanding that this just became very real. Can you confirm? Draven asked. 100%. I've got clear visual. Tech, are you recording this? Every frame, Wyatt confirmed. This is solid gold. We've got a field-grade officer conducting business with cartel personnel on American soil. Wait, Ghost's voice. We've got another vehicle, SUV, coming from the east. This one's using headlights, confident, like they own the place. The new vehicle was a black Escalade, government plates. It parked next to the Land Cruiser. The door opened. Colonel Richard Harding stepped out. Kira's breath caught. She'd studied his file. Intelligence officer, decorated, 23 years of service, 3 combat deployments, and according to her father's evidence, the architect of Operation Reaper, the man who gave the order to kill Jackson Blackwood. Her finger drifted toward the trigger. Just pressure, just a few pounds of pressure. 72 inches of barrel, one 7.62 millimeter round, traveling at 2,550 feet per second. The range was nothing. She could make this shot in her sleep. Blackwood. Draven's voice cut through her thoughts like a knife. I know what you're thinking. Don't. I'm not thinking anything, sir. Bullshit. Your father's finger never touched the trigger unless he was ready to fire. I'm betting you're the same way. So take your finger off the trigger and focus on the mission. Kira's hand moved. The trigger guard felt empty without that familiar pressure. A fourth man emerged from the Escalade. Tall, broad-shouldered, moving with casual confidence. He wore civilian clothes, jeans, boots, a leather jacket. But he moved like military. Everything about him screamed operator. He crossed to where Harding stood and they shook hands. Not formally, like old friends, like partners. Can anyone ID the civilian? Ryder asked. Negative, Ghost said. But he's carrying. I can see the print under his jacket. Looks like a .45. The warehouse door opened. More men emerged. And among them, clearly in charge, was someone Kira didn't recognize. Late 40s, weathered face, expensive boots, and a presence that made even the heavily armed cartel soldiers step carefully around him. "That's Diablo," Wyatt said. "Patrick O'Donnell, former IRA, ran guns in Belfast in the 90s, disappeared after the Good Friday Agreement, resurfaced in Mexico 5 years ago. He's essentially the cartel's military contractor, plans operations, trains personnel, coordinates logistics, and apparently meets with U.S. military officers," Doc added. "That's cozy." Kira watched through the scope as the four men, Harding, Vaughn, O'Donnell, and the unidentified operator, moved into the warehouse. They left the bodyguards outside. A show of trust. Or arrogance. "Tech," Draven said quietly, "please tell me you can get audio on this conversation." "Working on it." "They're inside a metal structure, which doesn't help. But I've got a parabolic mic on the window. Give me a second." "Okay. Okay, I've got something. It's faint, but hold on." Kira could almost hear Wyatt's fingers flying across his laptop keyboard. The kid was a wizard with electronics, turning consumer tech into military-grade surveillance through sheer brilliance and utter disregard for manufacturer specifications. "Got it. Patching through now. Audio quality is shit, but it's better than nothing." The voice that crackled through their earpieces was distorted, compressed, barely intelligible. But it was there. "Shipment is confirmed for Tuesday. 20 crates, standard loadout. Your people will handle distribution on the Mexican side." That was Harding. Kira would recognize that voice anywhere. She'd heard it in official briefings, in news interviews, always saying the right things, always the picture of military professionalism. Another voice, Irish accent, thick as fog. "And payment? Same as always, crypto first, then the commodity exchange. Untraceable, untrackable." "I like untrackable," O'Donnell said. "Keeps everyone honest." Laughter. Actual laughter. Like they were discussing a business lunch instead of treason. "Speaking of honest," a new voice said, "the unidentified man. What about the Blackwood situation? That loose end you said was handled." Kira's entire body went rigid. Harding's voice. "Ancient history. Jackson Blackwood was neutralized 7 years ago. We've had zero complications since." "And his daughter?" Silence. Kira could feel her heartbeat in her throat. "The daughter is nobody," Harding said finally. "She made it through BUD/S, sure, but they have her doing support work, intel analysis, paperwork. She's not operational, not a threat." "You certain?" "Completely. I've had people watching her career. She's competent but unremarkable. And she has no idea what her father was really investigating. As far as she knows, he died a hero in Syria. End of story." The rage that washed through Kira was pure, white-hot, cleansing, unremarkable, support work, not a threat. "Blackwood," Draven's voice was urgent. "Stay focused, stay professional. We need more than anger. We need evidence." She forced herself to breathe, to think, to be the operator her father trained her to be. Through the scope, she watched them emerge from the warehouse. Harding was holding a metal case. He opened it, showed the contents to O'Donnell. Even from 800 yards, Kira could see the electronic components inside. Military hardware, encryption devices, communications equipment. "That's SINS-GARS," Ghost said, his voice tight. "That's our tactical radio system. How the hell did they get their hands on that?" "They didn't get it," Ryder said. "They took it. From our own inventory. Jesus Christ." Wyatt's voice. "I'm still recording. We've got them on video with classified communications equipment. We've got audio of them discussing weapons shipments. We've got evidence of collaboration between U.S. military personnel and known cartel operators. This is enough. This is more than enough." "Wait," Kira said. "Something's happening." The civilian truck, the one Ghost had identified as carrying human cargo, was being unloaded. Cartel soldiers opened the back. People stumbled out. Women, children, maybe 23 total, hands bound, moving like sleepwalkers. Kira's hand moved back toward the rifle. "Easy," Ghost said, like he could see her through the darkness. "Easy, Blackwood." One of the women fell. A cartel soldier kicked her. Not hard enough to seriously injure, just hard enough to communicate contempt. "Get up. Move. Your merchandise." "We can't just watch this," Doc said. His voice was strained. Combat medics saw suffering differently, felt it in their bones. "We have to do something." "Our mission is intelligence gathering," Draven said, but even he sounded uncertain. "Fuck the mission," Doc shot back. "Those are civilians. That's a child. She can't be more than 7 years old." Kira made a decision. "Commander, permission to speak freely?" "Granted." "We have the evidence we came for. Video, audio, documentation. We can extract right now and deliver it all to NCIS, and those bastards will be in prison by the end of the week. Or what? Or we complete the intelligence phase and then we save those people. We've got 5 highly trained operators against maybe 30 cartel soldiers. We have surprise, superior training, and precision weapons. We can do this." "That's not the mission." "No, sir, but it's the right thing to do. And I think my father would say that matters." Silence on the comms, long enough that Kira wondered if she'd crossed a line. Then Draven's voice, quiet but firm. "Your father would absolutely say that, and he'd be right." A pause. "Okay, new plan. We wait for the officers to leave. Once they're clear, we move on the warehouse. Ghost, I want a full tactical assessment. Hawk, start planning approach vectors. Doc, prep for mass casualty treatment. Tech, you're on overwatch with Blackwood." "And Blackwood?" "Yes, sir." "When this goes loud, you make sure none of those cartel soldiers get close to those civilians. You're our guardian angel. Understood?" "Understood, sir." 20 minutes later, Harding, Vaughn, and the others departed. The Escalade and Land Cruiser rolled away into the night, taillights disappearing into the vast darkness of the desert. The cartel soldiers relaxed. Some lit cigarettes. Others wandered toward the warehouse. The civilians were herded inside, locked in what looked like a storage room. Perfect. Contained. Easier to protect. Ghost's voice. "Okay, I've got a count. 13 outside, estimate 15 inside. The inside crew seems to be settling in for the night. Looks like they're running shifts." "Approach route?" Draven asked. "East side is our best bet. There's a blind spot between the warehouse and that shipping container. We can use it for cover, move up to the side entrance. Blackwood takes out the perimeter guards from her position. We breach and clear while they're still trying to figure out what's happening. Time to position? 4 minutes, maybe 5. Blackwood, can you make the shots?" Kira did the math. 13 targets. Maximum engagement range of 800 yards. Minimum of 700. Wind at 3 knots from the northwest. Temperature 48 degrees. She'd need to adjust for each target's position and movement, and she'd need to do it fast. "Yes, sir, but I'll need everyone else to hit the deck the second I start firing. Things are going to get confusing." "Copy that. Ghost, Hawk, Doc, move into position. Tech, you're with Blackwood. Provide her with target updates." "Roger." Wyatt scrambled up the ridge, carrying his laptop in a tablet. He dropped beside Kira, breathing hard. "Never thought I'd be doing this when I joined the Navy, though I'd be sitting in air-conditioned rooms, drinking coffee and hacking foreign governments." "Still want that?" "Hell no, this is way better." He grinned. "Okay, I've got thermal overlay running, tagging all the guards for you, sending it to your scope's HUD now." Kira's scope display flickered. Small red diamonds appeared, overlaying each guard's position. Wyatt had somehow linked his thermal imaging to her rifle's smart scope. It was either brilliant or completely against regulations. Probably both. "You're a wizard, Tech." "I know." "Okay, I'm reading 13 hostiles in the open. The 3 on the north side are bunched up. That's your first cluster. Then the 2 by the Humvee. Then the solo guy by the warehouse door. After that, it gets trickier." "Understood." Kira settled into the rifle. cheek to stock, eye to scope. Her breathing slowed. Her heartbeat became a metronome, steady and reliable. The world narrowed to this moment. This was her father's world. This was the place where Jackson Blackwood had lived, in the space where time stretched and sound faded, and there was only the target, the wind, the distance, and the decision. All teams in position, Ryder reported. Waiting on Blackwood. Draven's voice. Blackwood, you are cleared hot. Take the shot when ready. She exhaled. Halfway. The scope's reticle settled on the first guard's center mass. 780 yards, aiming 2 inches high to compensate for the round's drop. Fractional adjustment for wind. The trigger broke clean. The M40A3 bucked against her shoulder. The suppressor reduced the muzzle flash to a brief flicker, the sound to a sharp crack that the desert wind scattered into nothing. Through the scope, she watched the first guard drop. The others didn't notice. Not yet. They were looking at their phones, talking, existing in the false security of routine. Kira chambered another round. Shifted. Second target, 790 yards. Adjusted for the slight crosswind. Fired. Second guard down. Now they noticed. Men scrambled for weapons, started looking around, trying to locate the threat. Too late. Third shot. The guard by the Humvee. He was running, moving target. She led him by 2 feet. The trigger broke clean. 750 yards. Perfect shot. He fell mid-stride. Jesus Christ, Wyatt breathed beside her. You're not human. 4 shots. 5. 6. Each one a lesson from her father. Each one a memory of the Wyoming ranch. 12 years old, learning that shooting was mathematics and meditation combined. That the rifle was just a tool, and the real weapon was discipline. 7 shots. 8. The cartel soldiers were panicking now, firing blindly into the darkness, wasting ammunition. They had no idea where the shots were coming from, no idea how many shooters they faced. Moving in, Draven announced. Through her scope, Kira watched Ghost, Ryder, and Doc move from cover like shadows. They flowed toward the warehouse's side entrance, weapons up, movements economical and precise. 9th shot. A guard appeared in one of the warehouse windows. She put a round through the glass and the man behind it. The window exploded inward. Breaching, Ryder said. Flashbang. The dull thump of the concussion grenade. Then the sharp crack of M4A1s firing in controlled bursts. 2-round rhythms. Professional. Efficient. Kira kept scanning, looking for threats, looking for anyone trying to flank her team. Movement. 2 guards emerging from behind a shipping container, trying to circle around to the warehouse's back entrance. 10th shot. 11th shot. Both down. Warehouse is secure, Draven reported. We've got 23 civilians, women and children. They're terrified but alive. Doc, get in here. On it, Kira chambered another round, scanned, waited. Her job wasn't done until everyone was safely extracted. Blackwood, Ghost said. I've got movement. North side. Vehicles approaching. Multiple. Her scope swung north. 2 Humvees, running fast with no lights. Damn it, Draven snarled. They called for backup. How many? 2 vehicles. Estimate 10 to 12 hostiles. They'll be on us in 90 seconds. Can we extract in time? Not with 23 civilians. Not a chance. Wyatt was typing furiously on his laptop. I'm trying to call our bird, but he's 20 minutes out. We're on our own. Kira's mind raced. 2 Humvees, heavy weapons, numerical superiority. Her team was inside the warehouse, protecting civilians, vulnerable to a coordinated assault. Unless the assault never arrived. Tech, she said, can you mark the lead Humvee on my display? Yeah, but what are you? Oh, that's crazy. Can you do it? Already done. Red Diamond, range, Jesus, 1,100 yards. Blackwood, that's a moving target at extreme range. In the dark, with crosswind. I know, Just keep the marker updated. She tracked the lead Humvee through the scope, 1,100 yards in closing. The driver would be military trained, aware of threats, watching for ambush. He wouldn't expect a sniper at this range. Her father's voice in her memory. The impossible shot isn't impossible, it's just improbable. And improbable is what we do. She adjusted for wind, for the vehicle's speed, for the curvature of the earth at this distance, for the rotation of the planet beneath her. Everything her father taught her, everything she'd practiced 1,000 times. The trigger broke. 2 seconds later, the lead Humvee's windshield shattered. The vehicle swerved, went off-road, crashed into a gully. "Holy shit," Wyatt said. "You just made an 1,100-yard shot on a moving target." "One down. Where's the second vehicle?" "Stopping. They're bailing out, taking cover. They don't know where that came from." "Good. Keep them pinned. Tech, I need you to contact the exfil bird. Tell them we need immediate extraction and we're bringing civilians." "On it." Kira fired 2 more rounds toward the second Humvee's position. Not aiming to kill, just aiming to make them keep their heads down, to make them think twice about advancing. "Blackwood," Draven's voice. "We're loading civilians into our vehicles. We've got 2 MRAPs that can carry everyone, but we need a corridor to extract. I'll provide it. Start moving." For the next 10 minutes, Kira became the angel of death. Every time one of the cartel soldiers showed themselves, she put a round near enough to send them diving for cover. She didn't need to kill them all. She just needed to make them afraid, to make them cautious, to buy her team the time they needed. And it worked. The 2 MRAPs rolled out of the warehouse complex, heavy and slow but unstoppable. 23 civilians crammed inside, protected by armor plating and the watchful eyes of Ghost, Ryder, and Doc. "We're clear," Draven reported. "Blackwood, Tech, collapse your position and head to the primary exfil point. We'll meet you there." Kira took one last look through the scope. The cartel soldiers were regrouping, calling more reinforcements. In 10 minutes, this area would be swarming. Time to go. She field-stripped the rifle's position, grabbed the essentials, and started moving. Wyatt followed, struggling with his equipment, but keeping pace. They'd gone maybe 300 yards when the first RPG hit. The explosion lit up the night. Kira hit the dirt, ears ringing. Wyatt landed beside her, laptop clutched to his chest like a shield. "They've got our position," he gasped. "No shit, move!" They scrambled up, running now. Behind them, assault rifles opened up. Rounds cracked past, kicking up geysers of sand. Too close. Way too close. Ahead, the MRAPs had stopped. Ghost was leaning out, providing covering fire with his M4A1. But the range was too great. He was just making noise. "Blackwood!" Draven's voice was urgent. "We're coming back for you." "Negative. You've got civilians. Get them to the exfil point." "We don't leave people behind." "You're not leaving me behind, sir. I'm providing rear security. Now drive." Another RPG, this one closer. The shockwave knocked Kira sideways. She felt something hot slice across her shoulder. Not a direct hit. Shrapnel. She kept moving. Wyatt fell. Kira spun back. He was down, clutching his leg, his laptop shattered beside him. "Tech, it's not bad. Just give me a second." No time for seconds. The cartel soldiers were advancing. She could hear their vehicles, see their lights. Kira grabbed Wyatt under the arms and dragged. He was heavier than he looked. Or maybe she was lighter than she thought. Either way, it was like dragging a sack of concrete through sand. Rounds stitched the ground beside them. Too close. Impossibly close. Then Ghost was there, appearing out of the darkness like his call sign, taking Wyatt's other arm. Together they hauled him toward cover, a cluster of rocks, not much, but better than nothing. "Can you shoot?" Ghost asked Wyatt. Yeah, I think so." "Good, because we're about to have company." The first Humvee crested the ridge. Spotlights blazing, heavy machine gun mounted on top. Kira brought up the M40A3. No time for perfect shots, just necessity. She aimed for the gunner and fired. He fell. Someone else took his place. Ghost fired. 3-round burst. The replacement gunner ducked. "We can't hold this position," Kira said. "I know." Ghost was scanning the darkness. "We need a miracle." They got a helicopter. The Black Hawk came in low and fast, door guns blazing. Tracers lit up the night like fireworks. The Humvee's windshield exploded. The vehicle swerved away. "That's our ride," Ghost shouted. "Move!" They ran. Kira supporting Wyatt from one side, Ghost from the other. The Black Hawk was landing 50 yards away, rotors beating the air into submission. Ryder was in the door reaching out. "Come on! Come on!" They made it. Hands pulled them aboard. The helicopter lifted immediately, banking hard, the pilot pouring on speed. Below, the cartel soldiers fired uselessly into the sky. Their rounds fell short by hundreds of feet. Inside the Black Hawk, Kira collapsed against the bulkhead. Doc was already working on Wyatt's leg. The civilians were huddled together, silent, shocked, safe. Draven appeared beside her. "You okay?" "Yes, sir." "You're bleeding." She looked down. Her shoulder was soaked red. "Shrapnel, it's nothing." "Doc will be the judge of that." He studied her. "That was some shooting back there. 1,100 yards. Moving target. My father taught me well." He did. Draven handed her a canteen. "We got it all. Video, audio, documentation. And we saved those people. Jackson would be proud." Kira drank. The water was metallic, warm, perfect. "We're not done yet, sir. We have to bring down everyone involved. All of them." "We will. But first, we need to survive the next 24 hours. Because the second Harding finds out what happened tonight, he's going to come after us with everything he has." "Let him come." Draven smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "Easy, Reaper Jr. One fight at a time." The helicopter banked toward Coronado, toward safety, toward whatever came next. Kira closed her eyes. Her shoulder throbbed. Her ears still rang from the explosions. But she'd done it. They'd done it. And tomorrow, they'd do the impossible. They'd take down a colonel. The Black Hawk touched down at Coronado at 0547 hours, just as the first gray light began dissolving the eastern darkness. Kira stepped onto the tarmac, her legs steadier than they had any right to be. The shrapnel wound in her shoulder had been field dressed by Doc during the flight. Butterfly stitches and gauze, the bare minimum to stop the bleeding. It hurt like hell, but pain was just information. Her father had taught her that too. The civilians were offloaded first. Border Patrol agents and medical personnel swarmed the helicopter, wrapping blankets around shoulders, speaking in soft voices, documenting names and nationalities. 23 souls who would have disappeared into the cartel's machinery if not for 5 operators and a crisis of conscience. Kira watched them go and felt something unknot in her chest. Not satisfaction, not pride, just the simple knowledge that tonight they'd done something that mattered. Draven was on his phone before the rotor stopped spinning. His face grew darker with each passing second. When he finally disconnected, he gathered the team with a single gesture. "We have a problem," he said. "Harding knows. I don't know how, but he knows. NCIS just received a formal complaint alleging that this team conducted an unauthorized raid on foreign soil, destroyed private property, and engaged in violence against civilian contractors." "Civilian contractors?" Ghost's laugh was bitter. "Is that what we're calling cartel soldiers now?" "That's what Harding is calling them. And he's got documentation, timestamps, coordinates, everything he needs to paint us as rogue operators who exceeded our authority." "We have video evidence of him collaborating with the cartel," Ryder said. "Audio of him discussing weapons trafficking. That trumps his paperwork. Only if we can get it to someone who'll actually look at it." "Harding's already moving. He's got friends in high places. By the time we navigate official channels, we'll all be in the brig and that evidence will disappear into a classified vault." Wyatt was limping but functional, his laptop somehow still operational despite the shattered screen. I can upload it, put it everywhere. WikiLeaks, news outlets, make it too public to suppress, and destroy any chance of prosecution in a court of law, Draven said. The second that evidence becomes public knowledge, defense attorneys will claim it's contaminated. Harding walks. All of them walk. Silence. The sound of checkmate settling over the team. There's another way, Kira said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. We make him confess, on record, get him to admit what he did. To my father, to everyone. Then we turn over everything, the confession and the evidence, to people who can't be bought. Who exactly? Ryder asked. Everyone Harding works with is potentially compromised. Not everyone. There's one person who's been investigating Operation Reaper for years, someone with the authority to burn it all down. Kira met Draven's eyes. Who gave you the clearance for this mission, sir? Who authorized you to investigate military corruption? Draven was quiet for a long moment. Then, Rear Admiral Evelyn Strauss, NCIS Oversight. She's been tracking this for 7 years, ever since your father first made contact. But she's been careful. She needed ironclad evidence before making a move. Then we give it to her. But first we get Harding on tape admitting he ordered my father's death. And how exactly do you plan to do that? Ghost asked. Kira smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. I'm going to make myself bait. 20 minutes later in Draven's office, she explained the plan. It was simple, dangerous, probably insane, which meant it might actually work. Harding thinks I'm nobody, Kira said. Unremarkable, not a threat. I'm going to use that. I'll surface somewhere public, somewhere he can find me, somewhere he'll feel comfortable approaching, and I'll be wearing a wire. We get him talking, get him comfortable, get him to slip. He's too smart for that, Ryder objected. The second you start asking questions, he'll know something's wrong. I won't ask questions. I'll give him information. Tell him I found something of my father's, something I don't understand. Play the confused daughter looking for answers about her dead hero father. He'll want to know what I found. He'll want to control the narrative. And if he just decides to kill you instead, then you'll be watching. Ghost on Overwatch. Wyatt monitoring all electronic signals. Doc and Ryder in chase vehicles. The second things go wrong, you extract me. Draven shook his head. It's too risky. We'll find another way. There is no other way, sir. And we're out of time. In 6 hours, Harding will have enough political cover that will never touch him. This is our shot. The silence stretched. Draven looked old suddenly, tired. He walked to the window, stared out at the Pacific. Your father would kill me for allowing this. My father would understand that sometimes the only way forward is through the danger. That doesn't make it smart. No, sir, but it makes it necessary. Draven turned. Fine, but we do this my way. Full surveillance package, panic button, and the absolute second you feel unsafe, you abort. Understood? Understood, sir. Good. He checked his watch. It's 0630 now. Harding will be at his office by 0800. We need to move fast. Ghost, start scouting locations. Somewhere public but controllable. Ryder, coordinate with local PD. Make sure we don't have any unexpected complications. Doc, I want Blackwood fully medical cleared. That shoulder wound gets infected. This whole thing falls apart. Wyatt? Already working on the surveillance package, Wyatt said, fingers flying across his damaged laptop. I'll have her wired 6 ways from Sunday. Audio, video, GPS tracker, even a biometric monitor so we know if her heart rate spikes. Outstanding. We brief with Admiral Strauss at 1200. That gives us 5 hours to prep. Move. The team scattered. Kira remained. Sir, she said. Draven looked at her. You're wondering if this is the right play? No, sir. I know it's the right play. I'm wondering if I'm going to be able to keep control when I'm face to face with the man who killed my father? That's a good question. What's your answer? Kira thought about it. About 7 years of grief and rage and questions. About the hole in her life where Jackson Blackwood should have been. About all the moments he'd missed. Her graduation, her commissioning, her first jump, her first mission. All the conversations they'd never have. All the wisdom she'd never receive. I'm going to channel it, she said finally. Use it. My father taught me that anger is just energy. The question is what you do with it. I'm going to use mine to bury the man who took him from me. Draven nodded slowly. You're more like him than you know. That's both encouraging and terrifying. I'll take that as a compliment, sir. It was meant as one. The briefing with Admiral Evelyn Strauss happened in a secure conference room in a building that officially didn't exist. Strauss was 56, silver-haired, with the bearing of someone who'd spent 30 years navigating the treacherous waters of military politics without losing her integrity. She listened to Draven's summary without interruption, her face revealing nothing. When he finished, she was silent for a long moment. Then she looked at Kira. You understand what you're proposing is essentially a sting operation against a sitting colonel, without official authorization, using yourself as bait? Yes, ma'am. And you understand that if this goes wrong, it will destroy your career, possibly get you killed? Yes, ma'am. Good. I'd hate to think you were walking into this blind. Strauss pulled a folder from her briefcase. I've been investigating Operation Reaper since 2017. Your father came to me 3 weeks before his death. He had evidence, not enough to prosecute, but enough to start asking questions. I told him to be careful, to document everything, to trust no one. Her voice tightened. I should have pulled him out, should have put him in protective custody. Instead, I let him continue his investigation because I thought we needed more evidence. And then I got word he was dead. Killed in action, they said. Heroic sacrifice, they said. And I knew it was a lie. But I couldn't prove it. Until now, Kira said. Until now. Strauss opened the folder. Inside were photographs. Harding, Vaughn, 3 other officers Kira didn't recognize. We've identified 7 individuals involved in Operation Reaper. 2 Army, 3 Navy, 1 Air Force, 1 CIA. They've been running this scheme for 8 years, funneling weapons to cartels, taking payment in cryptocurrency, using the profits to fund black operations in 6 countries. How much money are we talking about? Ryder asked. Best estimate? $230 million. Someone whistled. Ghost, probably. And Harding's the architect, Kira said. Harding's the coordinator, but there's someone above him, someone we haven't identified, someone who provides the political cover that keeps this operation running. Strauss looked directly at Kira. If you can get Harding to give up that name, you'll have done more than avenge your father. You'll have dismantled an entire corruption network. I'll get it. I believe you. Which is why I'm authorizing this operation, unofficially. If it succeeds, I'll have the evidence I need to bring charges. If it fails, she paused. If it fails, I've never heard of any of you. Clear? Crystal, Draven said. Good, now show me this plan of yours. By 1930 hours, everything was in place. The location was a bar in the Gaslamp Quarter of San Diego, public enough to discourage violence, private enough to allow conversation. Ghost had been inside since 1800, establishing overwatch from a second-floor office across the street. Ryder and Doc were in vehicles at opposite ends of the block. Wyatt was in a van half a block away, monitoring every electronic signal within a 200-yard radius. And Kira sat at the bar, wearing civilian clothes and enough surveillance equipment to stock a spy shop. The wire was embedded in her necklace. The camera was in her watch. The GPS tracker was in her shoe. The panic button was a ring on her right hand. One twist and the team would converge. She ordered a beer, didn't drink it, just needed the prop, the appearance of casual normalcy. Draven's voice in her nearly invisible earpiece. Harding just left his office. He's heading your direction. ETA, 12 minutes. Copy. You sure about this? Too late to back out now, sir. That's not what I asked. Kira smiled slightly. I'm sure. 11 minutes later, Colonel Richard Harding walked into the bar. He was in civilian clothes, slacks, button-down shirt, expensive watch. He looked like a businessman, respectable, trustworthy, everything a traitor shouldn't look like. He spotted her immediately. Of course he did. She'd made sure to sit where he couldn't miss her. Made sure to let the bartender see her military ID when she ordered. Made sure Harding's intelligence network would alert him to the presence of Kira Blackwood, daughter of Jackson Blackwood, sitting alone in a public bar. He approached slowly, confident. Two bodyguards flanked him at a distance, not close enough to be obvious, close enough to intervene. Miss Blackwood, he said, settling onto the stool beside her. What a coincidence. Colonel Harding, she kept her voice neutral, gave him nothing. I wasn't aware you frequented this establishment. I don't, but when I heard you were here, I thought I should stop by. I understand you've had some excitement recently. An unauthorized operation? Some allegations about misconduct? So he was going straight for it, no pretense. Interesting. I conducted a lawful reconnaissance mission, Kira said. Everything was within parameters. That's not what my sources tell me. They tell me you and your team engaged in violence against civilian personnel on foreign soil. That's a serious violation of international law. Your sources are wrong. Are they? Harding signaled the bartender, ordered scotch. See, that's interesting, because I have documentation, satellite footage, communications intercepts. All of it suggests you went well beyond your authority. Then perhaps your documentation is flawed. Or perhaps you're protecting someone. Your commanding officer, maybe? Commander Draven? I know he and your father were close. Maybe that's clouding his judgment, making him take unnecessary risks. There it was, the probe, testing to see what she knew, what she'd admit. My father, Kira said slowly, died 7 years ago, in Syria, in the line of duty. That's all I know. Harding's scotch arrived. He took a sip, studying her over the rim of the glass. Is it? Because I've always wondered if you had questions about how it happened, about why. The Navy told me everything I needed to know. The Navy told you what we wanted you to know. There's a difference. Kira's heart was pounding, but she kept her face blank, confused, uncertain, the lost daughter looking for answers. I don't understand. Don't you? Harding set down his glass. Your father was investigating something he shouldn't have been investigating. He was asking questions, making inquiries, and then very suddenly, he was dead. You never thought that was suspicious? Are you saying someone killed my father? I'm saying your father made enemies, powerful enemies, people who couldn't afford to let him continue his investigation. What investigation? Harding smiled. You really don't know, do you? You're just a soldier, doing what you're told, following orders, just like your father taught you. The condescension in his voice was perfect, exactly what she needed. She let hurt flash across her face. Venerability. My father was a hero. Your father was a problem, a talented problem, but a problem nonetheless. He discovered Operation Reaper, our operation, our funding source, our way of getting things done when official channels failed. And he was going to expose it, going to ruin everything we'd built. Kira reached into her jacket, slowly, deliberately, pulled out a small recorder, placed it on the bar between them. Harding's eyes narrowed. What's that? My insurance. She pressed play. Her father's voice filled the space between them, distorted, from the video on the USB. Operation Reaper. They've been funneling weapons to cartels. I have proof. I have names. Harding's face went white. Kira stopped the recording. He sent this to 12 different people before he died. Journalists, lawyers, congressional investigators, all with instructions. If anything happens to him, release everything. Bullshit. If he had, this would have surfaced years ago. It didn't surface because I stopped it. I found everyone he sent it to. I convinced them to wait, to let me handle this internally, to give the military a chance to clean its own house. She leaned closer. But my patience has limits, Colonel, and you're testing them. Harding's scotch sat forgotten. His mind was racing, calculating. If she was telling the truth, if those recordings existed, what do you want? He asked finally. The truth, on record, about what happened to my father. And if I refuse, then I stop protecting you. Those recordings go public tomorrow. Every news network, every newspaper, every congressional office. Your career ends. Your freedom ends. Everything ends. Harding stared at her, weighing his options. If he confessed, he might be able to negotiate, cut a deal, minimize the damage. If he refused, if she was telling the truth about those recordings, he made his choice. Your father was investigating Operation Reaper, he said carefully, choosing each word. Our funding source. He was going to expose it. I gave the order to neutralize the threat. What happened in Syria, he paused. That was necessary, regrettable, but necessary. In Kira's ear, Wyatt's voice. Got it. Perfect confession. We're recording everything. Kira forced herself to breathe normally. You're saying you had my father killed? I'm saying I gave the order to neutralize a threat. What happened after that? He shrugged. Syria is a dangerous place. Bullets fly. People die. It's unfortunate, but it's the reality of our profession. You murdered him. I removed an obstacle. There's a difference. Harding leaned closer. And now here you are, the daughter, following in Daddy's footsteps, conducting unauthorized investigations, working with Draven, collecting evidence. Did you really think we wouldn't notice? I don't know what you're talking about. Harding paused, set down his glass, looked at Kira with new understanding. You're smarter than I thought, he said slowly, recording this conversation, getting me to confess. Kira's hand moved instinctively toward her necklace. Stopped. Don't bother denying it, Harding smiled without warmth. I ran a signal sweep when I first sat down. Clean. No active transmissions, which means you're using a passive recorder. Old school. Smart. He leaned closer. But here's the thing about confessions, Miss Blackwood. They only matter if you survive to deliver them. His hand moved inside his jacket. Kira twisted the ring. The panic signal. The pistol appeared, not pointed at her, pointed at the bartender. Tell your team to stand down, he said quietly, or I start shooting civilians. Your choice. Draven's voice in her ear. Blackwood, we're coming in. No, Kira said. He'll kill them. Stand down. Harding smiled. Smart girl. Now let's go somewhere private. You and I need to have a longer conversation. The bodyguards materialized. One took Kira's arm. The other cleared a path. They moved toward the back exit. Ghost's voice. I don't have a shot. Too many civilians. Blackwood, I can't. It's okay, she said. Let them take me. The hell we will, Ryder snarled. That's an order. I need to know who's above Harding. I need the full network. This is the only way. Silence on the comms. Then Draven's voice, heavy with resignation. We're tracking you. Don't do anything stupid. Define stupid. Anything your father would do. Kira smiled despite everything. No promises, sir. They took her to an SUV, black, government plates. The bodyguards zip-tied her hands, not tight enough to cut circulation, tight enough to be secure. Harding sat across from her as they drove. You're wondering if we're going to kill you. The thought crossed my mind. We're not yet. First, we're going to find out what you know, what evidence you've collected, who you've shared it with. Then we'll decide. You'll never get away with this. My team knows where I am. Your team is 5 operators with no official sanction. If you disappear, they have no recourse. No one to complain to. No one who'll listen. That's the beauty of operating off the books, Ms. Blackwood. No one can save you. My father thought the same thing, right up until he sent evidence to people who mattered. Harding's expression flickered. What evidence? Recordings, financial documents, names, everything he collected about Operation Reaper. He didn't trust the system, so he created insurance, sent copies to journalists, lawyers, congressional staffers, people who couldn't be bought. It was a lie, a complete fabrication, but Harding didn't know that. You're bluffing, am I? Then why am I so calm? Why would I let you take me without a fight? Maybe because I know that if something happens to me, everything my father collected goes public. Every name, every transaction, every dirty secret. Harding stared at her, calculating, reassessing. Where is it? Safe, multiple locations, with instructions to release if I don't check in every 12 hours. Another lie, but a useful one. You're smarter than I gave you credit for. I learned from the best. The SUV drove for 20 minutes, north, away from the city, into the hills. Finally, they turned onto a private road. A warehouse appeared, isolated, perfect for interrogation, perfect for making people disappear. They pulled her out of the vehicle, walked her inside. The space was empty except for a single chair in the center. Fluorescent lights, concrete floor, the kind of place where screams wouldn't carry. They sat her in the chair. Harding circled her slowly. Last chance, he said. Tell me where the evidence is. Tell me who has it. Make this easy on yourself. Go to hell. He hit her. Open palm. Hard enough to snap her head sideways. Hard enough to make her ears ring. I can do this all night, he said, and I'm very good at it. Eventually, you'll tell me everything. The only question is how much damage you sustain first. Kira spit blood. You killed my father. You think a little pain is going to make me help you? I think survival is a powerful motivator. I think when I start breaking bones, you'll reconsider. Then you don't know me very well. Harding studied her. No, I suppose I don't, but I knew your father, and he had a weakness, a fatal weakness. What's that? He cared too much. About honor, about duty, about doing the right thing. It made him predictable. It made him vulnerable. Harding leaned close. And I'm betting you inherited that same weakness. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to hurt you, and you're going to tell yourself you can resist, that you're strong enough. But you're not. Nobody is. And eventually you'll break, just like he would have. My father never broke. Your father died. That's the definition of breaking. The door exploded inward, not slowly, not with warning, just sudden, catastrophic violence. The steel door blew off its hinges, propelled by a shaped charge. Smoke and dust filled the air. Shapes moved through the chaos. Fast, professional, lethal. Ghost appeared first, M4A1 up, scanning for targets. Ryder came through right behind him, covering the opposite angle. Doc was third, medical pack on his back, pistol in his hand. And through the center walked Commander Victor Draven, his Sig Sauer aimed directly at Harding's head. "Federal agents!" Draven roared. "On the ground, now!" The bodyguards went for their weapons. Bad decision. Ghost put 2 rounds into the first one's chest. Ryder took the second with a headshot. Both bodies hit the floor before their fingers reached their triggers. Harding froze. His pistol was still in his shoulder holster. Useless. "Don't," Draven said quietly. "Give me a reason. Please." Harding's hands went up slowly. Kira stood. The zip ties fell away. She'd been working them loose since the car ride, using a technique her father taught her when she was 15. Always have an escape plan. Always have an out. "You're making a mistake," Harding said. "I have friends, people who will bury you for this." Actually, a new voice said from the doorway. Your friends just became your former friends. Admiral Strauss walked in, followed by a dozen NCIS agents in full tactical gear. She carried a tablet. On its screen was video footage of Harding's confession. Audio levels spiked where he admitted to ordering Jackson Blackwood's death. Colonel Richard Harding, Strauss said formally, you're under arrest for murder, conspiracy to commit treason, weapons trafficking, corruption, and about 40 other charges I'll remember once we're done processing you. You have the right to remain silent. This won't stick, Harding interrupted. You have no authority here, no warrant, no jurisdiction. I have your confession. I have financial records. I have satellite footage of you meeting with known cartel members. I have testimony from 7 different operators and, she smiled coldly, I have the authorization of the Secretary of Defense, the Director of NCIS, and the Senate Intelligence Committee. We've been building this case for 7 years. Your friends? They abandoned you 3 hours ago when we showed them the evidence. Right now, they're all scrambling to cut deals. You're alone, Colonel. You're done. Harding's face went white. But before we take you away, Strauss continued, there's one more thing. Miss Blackwood, I believe you had something you wanted to say? Kira stepped forward, looked Harding in the eyes. My father was a better man than you'll ever be. He believed in honor, in duty, in protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. And you killed him because he threatened your profit margin. You took him from me, from everyone who loved him, from a country that needed men like him. Her voice was steady, cold, final. I want you to know that I'm going to spend the rest of my career making sure people like you never get the chance to do this again. I'm going to be exactly what my father trained me to be, the thing you're most afraid of, the operator you can't buy, can't threaten, can't stop. She leaned closer. Sleep well, Colonel. You're going to need it, because the rest of your life is going to be very, very long and very, very unpleasant. She turned away, didn't look back. Draven put a hand on her shoulder. You did good, Blackwood. Jackson raised you right. I know, sir, but I'm not done yet. What do you mean? Harding's not the top. There's someone above him, someone providing political cover, someone who still needs to pay. Strauss joined them. There was someone above him. The past tense hung in the air. Was? Draven asked sharply. Undersecretary of Defense Thomas Rutledge. Strauss pulled out her phone, showed them a news headline. Pentagon official dies in apparent suicide. He hanged himself in his home office 3 days ago, left a note confessing to everything. Very convenient. Suicide, Ghost said flatly. Right. The official story is suicide, Strauss corrected. The unofficial story is that when powerful men realize their world is collapsing, sometimes they take the final exit before someone else does it for them. She pocketed her phone. Either way, he's dead. His files are seized. His network is exposed. Operation Reaper dies with him. Kira processed this. Justice delivered. Not the way she'd wanted. She'd wanted him in prison, wanted him to face every victim, but delivered nonetheless. So it's over, she said. This operation is over, Strauss corrected. But there will always be another one. Another conspiracy, another corrupt official, another fight. She looked at Kira directly. The question is, are you ready for that? Ready for a career of fighting battles that never truly end? Kira thought of her father, of the letter he'd written, of the legacy he'd left. Yes, ma'am, she said. I'm ready. Good, because we need warriors like you. Not for revenge, for justice. I understand the difference now, Kira said, and she did. The day after Harding's arrest, Kira received a briefing update from Admiral Strauss. Major Leonard Vaughn cut a deal, Strauss said, sliding a folder across her desk. Full cooperation in exchange for reduced charges. He's giving us everything. Supply chains, financial networks, contact lists. And O'Donnell? Kira asked. Patrick O'Donnell is more complicated. Strauss pulled up a satellite image. Mexican authorities raided his compound 3 days ago, found it empty. He's in the wind. So he escaped. For now, Strauss's smile was cold. But he's lost his American military contacts, lost his supply chain, lost his protection. He's just another fugitive now, and fugitives always make mistakes. She handed Kira another photo. O'Donnell's face, weathered, dangerous, still free. Consider it unfinished business, Strauss said. Something for your next deployment, perhaps. Kira studied the photo, memorized the face. Pakistan? Pakistan first, then we'll see where O'Donnell surfaces. Strauss leaned back. You've done good work, Blackwood. Your father trained you well. Let's leave it at that. Kira tucked the photo away. Another target, another mission. The work never ended, and somewhere she knew Jackson Blackwood was watching. Not proud, he'd said that enough in his letter, but satisfied, knowing his daughter was carrying forward the fight he'd started. That was enough. That same afternoon, an envelope arrived at Coronado. Hand-delivered, no return address. Inside was a photograph, 23 people standing together. Clean clothes, real smiles. The women and children they'd rescued from that warehouse. Behind them, a banner. Safe House, San Diego Refugee Center. And beneath the photo, a note, handwritten in Spanish, then translated. To the angels who saved us, we do not know your names, we do not know your faces, but we know what you did. You gave us back our lives, our futures, our hope. We will never forget. We will live well. We will honor your gift. Thank you, thank you, thank you. 23 signatures below. Kira stared at it for a long time. Then she pinned it to the bulletin board in the team room, where Ghost and Ryder and Doc and Wyatt would see it, where they'd remember why they did this work. Not for medals, not for recognition, for moments like this, for lives saved, for evil stopped, for the people who couldn't fight back. Doc saw it first, touched the edge of the photo gently. This is why, he said quietly. Yeah, Kira agreed. This is why. 3 weeks later, Kira stood at Arlington National Cemetery. The sky was overcast, threatening rain but holding off. Respectful, somehow. Like even the weather understood the solemnity of the moment. Her father's grave had a new marker now. Not just name and rank, not just dates. Now it read, Jackson Reaper Blackwood, Navy SEAL, 1975 to 2017. Died protecting the integrity of the United States military. Father, warrior, hero. A formal ceremony had taken place that morning. Flag presentation, speeches. The Secretary of Defense himself had attended, offering official apologies for the years of lies, offering commendations, offering everything except the one thing that mattered, giving Jackson Blackwood back to the people who loved him. But Kira had sat through it all, accepted the folded flag, shook hands, played the role of grateful daughter receiving long overdue justice. Now, alone except for her team standing respectfully distant, she could finally say the things that mattered. Hey, Dad, she said quietly. I did it. I found them. I made them pay. Harding's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. They're dismantling Operation Reaper, recovering the money, prosecuting everyone involved. She touched the gravestone. I know you told me not to seek revenge, and I'm sorry, but I couldn't let it go. You deserve justice. All those people they hurt deserve justice. So I finished what you started, and I do it again. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves of nearby trees. I made it, Dad. I'm a SEAL, a real operator. They assigned me to SEAL Team 7. Sniper and intelligence specialist, just like you wanted, just like you trained me for. She smiled through tears. I carry your rifle on every mission, your pistol on my hip, your dog tags around my neck. And I try so hard to be the kind of operator you were, the kind of person you were, Someone who stands up for what's right, even when it's dangerous, even when it costs everything. Behind her, she heard footsteps. Draven appeared beside her. He didn't speak, just stood there, another warrior paying respects. After a moment, the rest of the team joined. Ghost, Ryder, Doc, Wyatt, still limping slightly. 5 operators who'd risked everything to honor a fallen brother's memory. "Permission to speak freely, sir?" Kira said. "Granted," Draven replied. "Thank you for believing me, for helping me, for making sure my father's sacrifice meant something. Your father was my best friend, my brother. I should have protected him 7 years ago, should have seen the danger, should have pulled him out." Draven's voice was rough. "I can't change that, but I could make sure his daughter had the backup she needed. It's the least I could do." "It was enough, sir. It was more than enough." They stood in silence, paying respects, remembering. Finally, Ghost spoke. "What happens now, with Operation Reaper?" 7 people arrested, Draven said. 30 million in recovered assets. Another 200 million frozen in offshore accounts. The investigation's still ongoing, but we've cut the head off the snake. "Good," Kira said, "because I'm not going anywhere." Admiral Strauss appeared, walking across the cemetery with another officer. Female, younger than Strauss but carrying herself with similar authority. "Petty Officer Blackwood," Strauss said. "I'd like you to meet someone. This is Captain Jennifer Hayes. She's the new commanding officer of SEAL Team 7. Captain Hayes extended her hand. "I've heard a lot about you, Blackwood. Your father's reputation preceded him. Sounds like you're following in his footsteps." "Trying to, ma'am. More than trying. I've read your after-action reports. 1,100 yards shot on a moving target at night. Tactical planning under fire. Leadership in crisis situations. That's exceptional work." "I had good teachers, ma'am." "I'm sure you did, which is why I'm assigning you to active rotation. Full combat deployments. No more support roles. You've proven yourself. Time to put those skills to use." Kira's heart jumped. "Thank you, ma'am." "Don't thank me. Earn it. SEALs don't get participation trophies. You'll be held to the same standards as everyone else. Higher, probably, because people will be watching, waiting for you to fail. You okay with that?" "Yes, ma'am." "Good. Report Monday at 600. We deploy Tuesday for Pakistan. There's a situation that requires someone with your particular skills." Hayes saluted. Kira returned it. The captain walked away, leaving Kira slightly stunned. "Pakistan?" she said. "Follow-up operation," Strauss explained. "Harding gave up some names, some of his contacts abroad. We're tracking the remaining members of the Operation Reaper network. It's going to be dangerous." "I'm ready." "I believe you are." Strauss handed her an envelope. "This came for you, from your father's estate. Apparently, he left instructions with his lawyer. If anything happened to him, you were to receive this on the day his name was cleared." Kira took the envelope with shaking hands. Her father's handwriting on the front. "For Kira. Open alone." "I'll leave you to it," Strauss said. She and Draven walked away, giving her privacy. Kira sat on a bench near her father's grave, opened the envelope carefully. Inside was a letter, handwritten, dated 3 days before he died. "Dear Kay, if you're reading this, then I didn't make it out. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I promised your mother I'd always come home to you, and I've broken that promise. But I need you to understand something. I didn't die for nothing. I died trying to stop something evil, something that betrayed everything we stand for as SEALs, as military members, as Americans. And if my death means that evil gets exposed, gets stopped, gets destroyed, then it's a price I'm willing to pay. I know you're angry. I know you want revenge. That's natural. That's human. But Kay, I need you to be more than that. I need you to be the warrior I raised you to be. A warrior doesn't seek revenge. A warrior seeks justice. A warrior doesn't destroy for the sake of destruction. A warrior protects. A warrior doesn't give in to rage. A warrior channels it into purpose. You're going to be tempted to throw your life away trying to avenge me. Don't. Instead, live the life I wanted for you. Be the SEAL I knew you could be. Be the person who stands up when others back down, who speaks truth when others stay silent, who protects the weak when others exploit them. That's how you honor my memory. Not with revenge, with legacy. I love you, Kay. I've loved you from the moment they put you in my arms. Every decision I've made, every risk I've taken, has been to make a world where you could thrive, where you could be everything you're capable of being. Don't waste that. Don't waste yourself. Be extraordinary. Be unstoppable. Be the warrior the world needs. And know that wherever I am, I'm watching over you. I've always been proud of you, and I always will be. Dad. P.S. The rifle is yours. I had it modified specifically for you. Use it well. Use it wisely. And every time you look through that scope, remember, the hardest shot isn't the one at extreme range. It's knowing when not to take the shot at all. Kira read it 3 times. Then she folded it carefully and put it back in the envelope, tucked it in her pocket next to her heart. She stood, looked at her father's grave one last time. I hear you, Dad. I'll be the warrior you wanted me to be. I'll protect people. I'll stand for what's right. I'll make you proud. She saluted, sharp, perfect, everything her father had taught her. Then she turned and walked back to her team. 2 months later, Kira stood on the deck of an aircraft carrier in the Arabian Sea. The sun was setting, painting the water gold and crimson. In 6 hours, she'd insert into Pakistan with her team. Target, a compound where the remaining Operation Reaper contacts were coordinating a weapons deal. It would be dangerous, possibly deadly, exactly the kind of mission her father had excelled at. Ryder appeared beside her. You ready for this? Always. That's what I like to hear. You know, when you first joined the team, I had doubts. I'll admit it. I thought maybe you were just riding your father's reputation, trying to prove something. And now? Now I think you're the best sniper I've ever worked with. And your old man? He's looking down with one hell of a smile right now. Thanks, Hawk. Don't thank me, thank him. He's the one who trained you. Kira smiled. I do, every day. Ghost joined them, followed by Doc and Wyatt. The team, her team. People she'd trust with her life. People who'd proven they'd trust her with theirs. Final briefing in 30, Ghost said. Intel update came in. The compound's more heavily defended than we thought. How heavily? Kira asked. 20 to 30 hostiles, military-grade weapons, possible armor. So, a normal Tuesday. Ghost laughed. You've been hanging around Draven too much. You're starting to sound like him. I'll take that as a compliment. It was meant as one. They stood together, watching the sunset. Warriors preparing for battle. Just like thousands of warriors before them. Just like Jackson Blackwood had done hundreds of times. Kira touched the dog tags around her neck. Her father's name etched in metal. A promise carried forward. I will, Dad, she whispered. I promise. As the sun disappeared below the horizon, Kira Blackwood turned and walked toward the briefing room. Toward the mission. Toward the future her father had died to give her. She was a Navy SEAL, daughter of a legend, warrior in her own right. And she was just getting started. The fight wasn't over. The corruption wasn't fully eradicated. There were still people who needed protecting, still injustices that needed correcting, still battles that needed fighting. But that was okay, because Kira Blackwood had learned from the best, and she was ready for whatever came next. Behind her, the team followed, 5 operators moving as one, united by purpose, bound by honor, ready to face whatever darkness waited. In the distance, thunder rumbled. Or maybe it was the sound of F-18s launching from the carrier deck. It was hard to tell the difference. Either way, it sounded like war. And war was where warriors belonged.